So research says if we really want to increase our fitness, we need to do some intense exercise. And a couple of ways to do that when you're running are tempo runs, intervals, or fartleks. Sorry, the kids are following me. Hi, and welcome to Eaters Runner. I'm Ralph. If you're training for a goal, maybe you're training for a race or a certain distance you want to achieve, it'd be really useful for you to increase intense runs into your workout routine. Not all the time, but take certain runs and do either intervals, tempo runs, or fartleks. Okay, kids, you can go home now. I'm so sorry about that. They think fartleks is a funny word. So a tempo run is also referred to as a threshold run. And that threshold refers to getting above the threshold from where you're running aerobically to anaerobically. When you're running aerobically, your body's getting enough oxygen to create energy, process any lactate that's building up in your body. And you'll know you're running aerobically if you can hold a conversation, you can make sentences. But if you pick up your pace and you start running anaerobically, you no longer can do those sentences. You can talk maybe in short phrases, but your heart rate goes up, breathing's a little harder. But now, since you're running anaerobically, your body cannot process all that lactate and it starts building up. And when it reaches a point where so much builds up that you get fatigued, you have to stop, that's your lactate threshold. So the idea of a tempo run or threshold run is getting to that lower levels of anaerobic running. If you do heart rate, that would be somewhere around 80% of your max heart rate, say 75 to 85%. But you can also judge it by your breathing. Again, you're breathing harder, but you can make short phrases. But if you're gasping for air and can't talk at all, you've gone too far. So the idea is do a tempo run or threshold run for at least 20 minutes. So pick a pace where you can hold that for at least 20 minutes. You can go farther, but shoot for at least 20 minutes. And as I kind of alluded to earlier, the biggest advantage of doing tempo runs or threshold runs is increasing that lactate threshold. When you do that, that means you increase your endurance. It means you can run farther because your body can tolerate more lactate build up in your system. So do tempo runs or threshold runs if you're trying to increase your distance, trying to increase your endurance. Now, intervals are meant to be a little more intense than a tempo run, but you do take a walk break. That's why they're intervals. So if you're already doing run, walk, run, you're kind of doing intervals, but in this case, we're going to do intervals at a much higher pace, a much higher effort. In fact, you want to get your effort up closer to your max heart rate zone, which is around 90% of your max heart rate. So to do an interval, you're going on a run at a pace that you can do, say, 2 minutes, get your heart rate up to around 85 to 95%. So you want to judge it by your breathing. You can't make sentences. And you also probably cannot talk at all, even 1 or 2 words. You're breathing hard. You're not gasping for air, but you're breathing hard. And you want to do that for at least 1 to 2 minutes, then walk for an equal amount of time, if not a little longer. So if you run for 2 minutes, then slow jog or walk for 2 or 3 minutes. And you want to repeat those and do multiples of those, however many. Maybe start off with 3 or 4, build up to 10. And if you live near a school, like a high school or college, maybe you can run around the track, do an interval at high effort around the track once, and walk a lap. So there's all kinds of ways to do intervals. So intervals are really great for increasing your cardiovascular fitness. Said another way, increasing your VO2 max. If you want to work on increasing your lung capacity, increasing your ability to take in oxygen, do intervals. Now research tends to suggest that between tempo runs and intervals are a little better for increasing your overall fitness because they're at a higher effort, and the more time you spend at higher effort, the more you'll improve your fitness, and you also take a break. And when you take that break, you take that 1 or 2 minute walking break, it allows you to recover so you can run your next interval again at a high pace. So err on the side of doing intervals. If you're going to do one or the other, you don't have to, but err on the side of doing intervals if you're only going to do one of those two. So that leaves fartleks. Oh good, sounds like the kids are going. Oh crap, I guess not. So fartleks are a type of interval. Fartlek is Swedish for speed play. It's real unstructured, real informal. If you're out doing a short run, I would not do fartleks during a long run. Save your energy for the long run. But on short runs, you just do an unstructured short burst of speed. So for example, you're running down the road, you see a mailbox down there, you decide to run harder to the mailbox. And then maybe later on, you might run harder to a corner. Those are fartleks. They're just informal. Do them as many as you want or as few as you want. They're kind of a type of interval. So if you want to do a different relaxed or informal interval, do fartleks. So whether you do tempo runs, intervals, or fartleks, typically you want to save those and do those if you're training for something. If you're training for a marathon, a half marathon, or you're just trying to run a 20-mile distance, whatever, do those to increase your endurance, increase your VO2 max, make you stronger. If you're just in a holding phase, you're not really running or shooting for any races, it's not necessary to do them. Of course you can if you want, but these are real valuable and useful if you're training for a race. So incorporate those in. As I said, do them on your short runs, not your long runs, and it'll really increase your fitness. Hey, thanks again for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, scroll down there and hit that like icon. I really appreciate it. And if you're new here, I'd love to have you stick around. Please hit that subscribe icon. Thanks again for watching and happy running.